morning, everyone. Teacher Merrill here. It's nice to see you today. We are going to talk about a very special word today. Are you ready? The word is courage. Have you heard the word courage before? Courage means being brave even when it's hard or scary. Being courageous, having courage, means that you're strong even if things are hard. And you can be courageous in so many different ways. You might have courage when you see something bad happening. Maybe a friend at the park is making fun of somebody else, telling them they can't run very fast or their shoes look funny, and you could have courage and tell them that's not okay. Or you could have courage and go tell a grown-up so that they know what's happening. You were courageous on your first day of school because you may never have been there before, and you may never have really met me or Mary, and you came to school and were courageous and tried something new. Maybe you were courageous the first time you got into a swimming pool, or the first time you tried a new food that maybe you weren't sure you were going to like. Being courageous is very important because there are things that happen in this world that are not okay. And it's an important thing to be able to stand up and say, that's not right. Or to say, I feel hurt. And to be courageous to show your feelings to other people. So today, I'm going to share with you some really courageous women who have done amazing things in the world. And we'll look at their pictures, and I'm sending home some coloring sheets so that you can color in their faces also. And then we'll read a little book that has a story of courage in it. All right, are you ready to meet these courageous women? Let's get started. The first woman that I'm going to show you today is named Malala. And Malala started out her courageous story when she was a little girl, when she was just 12 years old. Malala is from a country called Pakistan. And in Pakistan, when she was a girl, some people took over their town, and they said that girls could not go to school. Now, Malala knew that that wasn't right. She knew that girls should be able to go to school too, and she wanted to keep going to school. She knew that speaking up might be hard, and she knew that it could be dangerous, but she was courageous, and she spoke up, and she said that it's not okay to not let girls go to school. And she has continued to fight to make sure that girls all over the world get to go to school, because going to school is important. And she knew that she needed to stand up for what's right. Now, our second woman, his name is Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King, as you can see here, she's holding a tennis racket. Billie Jean King was a very famous tennis player and an activist. An activist is someone who has courage and speaks up for things that they know need to change. And Billie Jean King noticed that women were not being treated the same as men in the tennis community. And she wanted to show people that women can play tennis just as well as men can. And then she noticed that there were other ways where women were not be treated fairly. That when colleges got lots of money to give to their students, they gave most of it to boys instead of girls. And Billie Jean King said, that's not right. She stood up for what she believed in, and she helped lots of girls get money to go to college and keep learning. So she is an amazing, courageous activist. Our next courageous woman is Frida Kahlo. You may have heard of her before or seen her face in one of her many paintings. Frida Kahlo was an amazing artist. But when she was a little girl, she got into an accident on a bus. and it hurt her body so much that she was in pain for the rest of her life, and it was very hard for her to walk. So, instead of giving up and feeling sad about not being able to walk and about always having to go to the doctor, Frida Kahlo was courageous. She was brave, and she put all of her time and energy into her beautiful paintings. She painted paintings of herself, self-portraits. She painted paintings of monkeys and birds, and she painted paintings about her pain and the fact that she did feel sad, but she didn't let it stop her from making beautiful art and becoming a world-famous painter. All right, we have one more courageous woman to talk about today, even though there are so many courageous women and men throughout this world who have done so many great things. I'm just going to share one more that's in our coloring book today. This is Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou did so many things during her life. She was a poet and a writer. Here she is holding one of her most famous books. She was also a dancer. She helped to write movies, and she was the very first Black woman who drove streetcars in San Francisco. The very first Black woman to do that. And Maya Angelou was also an activist, someone who has the courage to speak up about things that she knows were not right. So she spoke up about women being treated fairly, and she also spoke up about Black people and people of color being treated fairly also, because she saw that there were ways in which they were not treating people fairly, and she knew that if she spoke up about it and showed how amazing her powerful words were, she would be able to make a difference. Those 4 women are all women who I look up to when I think about being courageous. But there are everyday ways that we can be courageous too, like when I talked about you coming to school or eating a new food. You can be courageous each day by doing something that makes you a little bit uncomfortable, but doing it anyway. Let's read a little story about one of our favorite characters, Rainbow Fish, and see how he was courageous in this book. This book is called Rainbow Fish and the Big Blue Whale. A long way out in the deep blue sea, Rainbow Fish and his friends swam happily through the reef. Each of them had a glittering silver scale, except for one little striped fish, but he belonged to the group anyway. When the fish were hungry, they ate tiny krill. There seemed to be endless supplies of this delicious little shrimp. Rainbow Fish only needed to guide gently through the water with his mouth open to catch as many as he wanted. It was a wonderful life. One day, a gentle old whale swam by the reef and decided to stay. He liked the spot since he too ate krill that were so plentiful there, and he enjoyed being around the glittering fish. Often he drifted along, watching them for hours, admiring their beautiful shining scales. Before long, the fish with the jagged fins noticed the whale watching him. Here's the jagged fin fish. "Why is he looking at us like that?" he asked the others. He was in a particularly bad mood that day. "Do you see how he's staring at us?" he went on irritably. "Do you know what he's thinking?" After that, all the fish grew more suspicious of the whale. "Look at that giant mouth," said one. Surely soon the krill will be all gone." Rainbow Fish began to worry. Until now, the fish had always been able to eat their fill, but what if the whale did eat all the krill? And what if he kept staring at them? What was he doing? Was he planning to eat them too? One day, the whale swam very near to the glittering fish. Panicking, the fish with the jagged fin sounded the alarm. "Look out," he called. "The wicked whale is after us." When the whale heard that, it hurt his feelings. But soon he grew very angry. "I'll show them," he thought. "I'll teach them a lesson." So the great blue whale shot into the middle of the school of fish and lashed out with his gigantic tail, sweeping the sparkling fish in all directions. His feelings were hurt for being called a wicked whale, and he decided to splash them around with his tail. The terrified fish fled, racing toward a crack in the reef for safety. But the whale didn't leave them alone. He followed Rainbow Fish and his friends all the way back to their cave. The blue whale swam back and forth, casting sinister glances at the little fish. They were trapped. "I told you that whale was dangerous," whispered the fish with the jagged fins. "We have to watch out for him." After a while, the whale calmed down. He made one last pass, and then he disappeared beyond the reef. Nervous, but driven by hunger, the fish cautiously left their cave and swam off in search of food. But the battle with the whale had left its mark, and all the krill had swam away. "This is silly," said Rainbow Fish. "Before we played happily in the sea. Now we hide in our cave. Before there was always enough food for everyone, and now we have nothing. We have to make peace with this whale." The other fish were too afraid to approach the whale, so it was up to Rainbow Fish. He's going to have some courage. The whale stared at Rainbow Fish. "Please, let's talk," said Rainbow Fish. "This fight was all a big mistake. It drove off the krill, and now we're all hungry." That whale is very big, and everybody's scared of him. But Rainbow Fish is having courage to talk to him because he knows that he's probably not mean, and he wants to be able to make peace so that everybody can live there happily together. Let's see what happens. The two of them talked for a long time. The whale told Rainbow Fish how hurt and angry their mean words had made him. "I didn't mean to harm you," said the whale. "I just wanted to scare you a little bit." Rainbow Fish was ashamed. "I'm sorry," he said. "When we saw you watching us all the time, we were afraid you might eat us." The whale looked surprised. "I only watched you because your shining scales are so pretty," he said, and they both laughed. "Come on now," said the whale. "Let's find some new places to eat." So Rainbow Fish and his friends, protected by their new friend, the big blue whale, swam off together in search of a new home with lots of krill, and before long, none of them could remember what their terrible fight had been about. I think this story is a great way to show courage, because sometimes you just have to have courage to talk to a friend about something that might have happened that was a mistake. Maybe you didn't understand each other. Maybe you didn't mean to say something that hurt someone's feelings. And to have the courage to say, "I'm sorry," and to check on that person, or to make friends with this whale like in the story. You've shown your courage, and didn't things change for the better for these fish? Now they know that the whale will protect them instead of being scared all the time. Because Rainbow Fish had courage, he was able to make a new friend. And you can be courageous in your life every day, just by doing little things that might seem a little scary at first. It's always good to be sure that you're being brave and doing things that feel right to you. I hope you'll all find some fun ways to be courageous, whether it's trying something new or speaking up for somebody that needs your help. And I hope you have some fun doing the coloring sheets today of those courageous women. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.